Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Pop Century Resort. So this is going to be a very different type of room tour because, one, I've never stayed here before. So a lot of things that I'm about to show you, we're about to experience together, and that is totally fine. But you can see behind me, the big pop sign. Very excited to do this and kind of explore. So let's go. Okay, so very similar to just about all of the resorts. You've got the front area here for the buses to take you to all the theme parks. Now this one is a little bit unique because it does offer the Disney Skyliner, which we will kind of discuss later, but I failed to mention earlier that this resort is themed through the decades. You can see the 50s, or you can see the bus go by, but you got the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, which is awesome by the way, and the 90s. And each section of this resort is themed to that era. Okay, so one cool thing about this lobby is that McAllister and I explored the other day was they've actually got memorabilia on this wall, and as you can tell on the top is a timeline of the years that this stuff come from. But we just came across this Disney one here, which I thought was very interesting, very cool. But it's definitely worth walking through the lobby to check this stuff out because it's a lot of cool retro stuff. Also in this lobby, occasionally you can see a guy sitting right here drawing caricatures. That's a hard word for me to say, but he will draw you in cartoon form. There we go. Just around the corner is the arcade and restrooms. Now we visited this arcade the other day and it was a blast. We had so much fun, and normally we don't do that when we come to the resorts. So just like every Disney lobby, there is, as you can see behind me, my wife, she's with me on this one. But there is a gift shop, and this one's a lot different than the other All-Star ones that we've went to. Of course, it's obviously not an All-Star resort, but this one is also connected to the food court, which we'll show you in a second. So just so everybody knows, the shopping and dining here opens at 7 in the morning and closes at 11. So if you plan on getting a real early breakfast, you're gonna have to make sure it's after 7 o'clock. So this gift shop is like so massive. It is wide open. Doesn't ever seem like you're very cluttered with a lot of people in here. And there's so much stuff to shop from. Now they do offer basically everything that most resorts do offer, along with a little bit of extra stuff. But it's just so cool to be able to walk through this gift shop area and not feel like you're in a small room with the other All-Star resorts. So if you're used to the All-Star hotels like we are, this is a nice little treat to be able to just walk around and not rub elbows with people that you don't know. So like I said earlier, the gift shop and dining area is all connected. So as you may be able to notice behind me is the gift shop. As I turn around is the dining area. And it is very large as well, and they do offer a bunch of good food to eat. We've eaten here a couple times already today. I figure we'll eat here again today because we are not going to be doing anything. Behind me here is where you'll go to order your food. So this is where you go to order your food. And then directly behind me here is where you go to refill your drinks if you need to do that, napkins, things like that. But there's a bunch of seating area behind me, and there's actually some seating area outside. But if you go closer to the merchandise store behind me here, is more seating, and it is not busy at all. The few times we've been in here today, there's rarely anybody sitting over here. So if you just kind of want to get away from some people and get some space and some quietness, behind me is where to do it. All right, guys, so once you leave Classic Hall, which is actually what the main lobby area is called, take a little bitty stroll down some steps right out of the back, and then you get to this monster. Nice sound effects. The Hippie Dippy pool, which this is the main pool of the lobby. There's actually 3. We visited one a couple days ago. We'll show you. It's closer to our section of the resort. So this is the kind of area that we're going to get into that I don't know much about, because I haven't got to explore this. So this is where we will have, what am I trying to say? This is where we'll experience things together. And of course, you can't have a pool without a pool bar. So there you go, we've got pedals. Very nice pool bar. I will say the only thing they do not have that I would like to have, that would be draft beer, but can't fault them for that. They've got a lot of things there. So just like most resorts, right outside the pool area, they have fun games and different things. And this right here is kind of new. I've never seen a hair wrap and henna tattoo, airbrush tattoo type booth set up right here. And I don't even remember if I saw it open the other day. I'm sure it was. But if you want to get a tattoo that's less than permanent, this is the place to get it done. So right next to the Pedals bar area and adjacent to the pool, you've got your restroom and you've got your laundry service. Okay, so we're leaving the pool area, and what we're going to do is we're going to walk from one side of the park, oh my gosh, the park, one side of the resort, and wave all the way back to the other side. But just so you know, like I said earlier, this is a very confusing resort for me because I've never stayed here before. But there's directories, so I'll probably use these a lot during our resort tour. But I've also got my navigator, Samantha's with me here. She's gonna help me out.
I'm just the coffee person.
She's holding the coffee. But she will inform me of where to go. Unfortunately, the audio for the 50s section of the resort did not work. So here's a short video of Samantha pouring her free cup of coffee. On the other side of the pool here, as we get closer to the 60s area of the resort, is Lady and the Tramp, which, I mean, you've got the Tramp behind me, and I'll walk over there, but you can't see it right now, but Lady's behind me, trust me. And a really cool dog house that serves no purpose other than for employees, really. It's let's see, right there behind me, big massive dog house. Actually, it's probably bigger than the house I live in, but I'm not jealous. But I would like to have a dog house like that. Man, my dog would absolutely go insane. But anyways, looky there, there's Lady, and these things are like massive. They're so big. So if you're a Lady and the Tramp fan or staying with someone who is, it's a good photo opportunity for you. Just do it before the Florida sun comes out and you kind of melt. Because it is hot. This is July. No, it's not. This is June. It's almost July. Next week's July. But boy, is it blazing hot today. Okay, guys, so I'm back to the main pool area, and that's the 60s section of this resort, which is really, really, really stinking cool, because you've got yo-yos, flower power, peace signs, all kinds of cool stuff. But then you've also got, I'm gonna walk over there and show you. You've got 2 characters from the Jungle Book, Mowgli and Baloo. And just like Lady and the Tramp, they are massive. Massive, massive, massive. So, walking by Pedals again, you can see behind me there. They're doing some work. They're doing some maintenance. Trying to tidy it up. We're gonna walk over here and show y'all the Jungle Book. Now, one thing cool about the 60s area, and I'll get to it here in a minute, is not only does it host the main pool area, but it also is the center location for the Skyliner, which I will get to in a moment. So there's the Baloo and Mowgli that I was speaking of. That is really cool. And I didn't notice this on the other side until now. There's actually a massive thing of Play-Doh. And Samantha and I just recently watched a movie with Paul Rudd in it. And he referenced something about Play-Doh, and I don't know how accurate it is. Of course, it was in a movie, so it's got to be accurate, right? About how Play-Doh was invented. It was a good story, but I don't remember what he said. But let me turn around here, walk back so you can see it. Behind me there, you can see the lid, and then the big jug of Play-Doh, which, I mean, who doesn't like playing with Play-Doh? Everybody likes playing with Play-Doh. So not only is there a Hippie Dippy pool behind me, there's also a little child's pool area, which looks really fun, to be honest with you. If you continue to walk past the Hippie Dippy pool and to the end of the 60s area, you get to a generational bridge. I think that's what it's called, I'm not sure. But it's a bridge that leads over to Art of Animation, but it also leads to one of the coolest transportation things you can take in the park. And it's right here behind me. It's the Skyliner, the Disney Skyliner, which is awesome. So this will take you to Caribbean Beach, and then you'll get off and get another Skyliner to go wherever you'd like to go. But it's very cool that this resort has access to the Skyliner, and I would advise you to take that when you could, because it is a nice relaxing ride as long as it's moving and the wind's blowing. But that is one unique thing about Pop Century that we really like so far. So one really cool thing that we like about this resort is there's actually a running trail, and it's 1.3 miles. It runs around Hourglass Lake, which is the lake that separates the Pop Century Resort and the Art of Animation. And like I said, it's 1.3 miles. We actually woke up this morning and ran it. And along the path are these signs with factual information about different time periods during the 50s all the way through the 90s. Like this one here is from 1972, and it's talking about Pong for the Atari and the Miami Dolphins having their undefeated season. But to be able to just come out here, run this nice manicured trail is awesome. And then for it to be going around a lake and then another resort on the other side is pretty cool also. Now we are in the area that we're staying in. That's the 70s. Now the 70s has got some pretty cool stuff going on. There is a Twister game that you can play behind me here. Massive foosball area that I'm fixing to walk to. And then a big wheel that, well, it's big. We'll just say that. And then the classic Mickey Mouse telephone is over here as well. So the 60s, the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, all of those resort areas are pretty large. Now when we get from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, it looks like they kind of started running out of room, so they condensed it a little bit. But look at these foosball players behind me. and it just goes on and on and on, and you can see Mickey Mouse back there with his telephone, and then this massive big wheel behind me here. So it looks like the 70s decor on the actual buildings is very boogie, Saturday Night Fever-ish type things. There's just slogans like Boogie Down and polyester and a bunch of people dancing and mood rings. Okay, so that was just the main area of the 70s section of the resort. Now, flanked on the ends, I'm not sure about the other end where the stairwells are, but on this side closest to where we're staying, it looks like 8-track tapes, and then maybe beta. I don't really know. I think they're 8-track. I'm not familiar with 8-track tapes. I think I've seen only a handful of them in my lifetime. I'm more of a cassette person, but I'm going to say they're 8 tracks. Sorry about the noise there. Got a guy waving at me there. But so now I'm leaving that. There is, before you get into the 90s and the 80s, which again, the 80s is awesome, you've got everybody's favorite, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. Look at that. They're on both sides of me. So who does not love Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head? Can't call him Potato Head because he will definitely yell at you and say, that's Mr. Potato Head to you. But this is awesome. We've been over here. This is where the other pool is. It's in between the 90s and the 80s. But at the end here, like where we had the 8-track tapes, they've got Rubik cubes. And man, those things are so hard to figure out. I've never been able to get it right. You'll get half of the side in one color, and then everything else is just so messed up. And then you just really want to peel the stickers off and make it right. But right in the center is the pool, and I'm fixing to walk over there, and it's pretty cool because, you know, that generation is the birth of home computers. So it's fitting that the swimming pool here would be laid out to look like a computer. There's this massive keyboard on the outside of the pool, and then the pool itself is square and it's supposed to look like a computer monitor, and then there's processors and stuff like that all around. Very basic pool, but you know what? I'm cool with that. So I'm walking on the keyboard now, and I'll show you in a second, but look behind me there. Freaking Roger Rabbit. I don't know who framed him. Actually, I do. I've seen the movie. It's a great movie. Wish Disney would incorporate more Roger Rabbit stuff in the parks, like they were going to at one point, but bailed out on that. And then on the other side here, remember me talking about cassettes? Yes, the Walkman. Man, this brings back some memories right here. And there's the keyboard I was trying to tell you about. I mean, there's really no good way to show this. It is so huge. If I had my drone and Disney would allow me to fly it, I would show you a better shot, but I don't have it with me, and they don't allow me to fly it if I did. Alright, so the 80s buildings are flanked with breakdancers, Pac-Man, you know, things that are totally awesome. Totally. So that was basically all of the 80s room. Like I said earlier, it seems like when they've gotten through the 70s, they were like, well, we don't have much room to go. So they just kind of crammed the 80s and 90s into a section of the resort that was about the same size as all the others. but that's no big deal. It's still pretty cool. So yeah, so let me show you the 90s rooms. All right, so here we are. This is the 90s. It's just this one building here, and CDs. We have moved out of the era of cassettes in the 90s. CDs, dancing, and just whatever is basically what the 90s were. And then we've got some rollerblades down here. Now, I was never good at skateboarding, but I could definitely shred some things up on a pair of rollerblades. And that's what we would do. In the little town that I lived in, we'd go downtown and we would rollerblade until we just could not rollerblade any longer. Those days are long gone for me. Now, I prefer a bicycle or a car. But those days were fun. I do miss them. But here we go. This is the big centerpiece for the 90s. It is a laptop. Now, I did see a sign earlier where it said, I don't remember which year, but a compact laptop would cost you, well, a lot. I just remember that. But this is pretty cool. And I don't know if I can get in on it. Let me zoom in. There is a Mickey head right there. So there's not much to show in the 90s. It's just kind of tucked away. Still cool. I mean, you're right next to the parking lot, which I like to be. We're a little bit further from the parking lot on this trip. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed our Pop Century Resort tour. This was really cool. It was all new to us because we've never stayed here before, and it was kind of refreshing being able to go to a different resort that we normally would not stay at. So yeah, it was a good experience. We learned some things together, which is always cool. But anyways, I'm about to wrap it up. We've got a fun-filled day today. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.